Hades 2 has a lot of hidden information that isn't readily given to you when you start this game. So here is my list of the top 10 things I wish I knew right away when I started playing Hades 2. It's a wide-ranging list, but I think if you go after all 10 of these things, it'll help you a lot. Let's get into it. So I'm going to start with a couple of things I wish I knew as soon as I started this game combat-wise for all my different runs, because it's not as easy as the first Hades in my opinion, and then we're going to quickly go into some of the information around gathering resources, because in this game there are a lot of resources that are simply not told to you how you can get them. Now, first things first, I wish I knew how squishy you are in this game, especially when you start out. You don't have nearly as much health as you do in Hades 1. There's a lot of different nuances with how you attack based on the weapon that you're using, and you just start to realize when you get hit by anything, it takes a good chunk of your health bar away. This is probably one of my top things simply because I've been doing a lot of different runs, spent a lot of hours since this has come into early access, and I still have to remind myself that I can get DPS'd by mini bosses and the main bosses in each region in about a couple seconds. Now this leads me into your cast ability, which can help you when you are getting DPS that quickly by bosses and just any other monsters inside of your runs. Your cast allows you to freeze a certain area of the ground with all the enemies in it for a couple seconds, and it slows them down so you can 1, run away, 2, add a lot of damage if you charge it up, and it allows you to easily escape certain death. Now this is your cast at a base form, but if you add certain upgrades from the Olympic gods onto them, they do different things. I wish I knew how strong this was when I first started the game, because I really didn't use it a ton, because I didn't realize 1, it slowed down your enemies a lot, and 2, how much damage output it has when you get certain boons added onto it. So when you figure out how to use this effectively, it's going to severely upgrade your chances of going all the way and defeating Chronos. But as I said, this game is not as easy as the first one in my opinion, so let's go over some of the stuff that you can upgrade back at the crossroads or your base to make sure you can get to Chronos a lot easier. Now just like Hades 1, at your base you're going to have a lot of different things you interact with, upgrade. One of the main things you need to focus on is this giant cauldron where you can do something called Incantations. These incantations unlock and upgrade a variety of different things inside of the crossroads and throughout the areas that you'll explore in Hades 2, such as the ability to spawn different health rooms in different regions of the underworld, the ability to take away the wards that stop you from visiting the surface inside of your armory room, and even create a garden, which we'll get to in a little bit. When I first started this game, I focused on doing multiple runs, getting used to the game, focusing on that, when I should have been focusing on getting the materials for these different incantations to make my life that much easier. Now there are multiple ways to get different materials, and I'll go over that in a little bit as well because they're numerous, but one way you can easily get these materials is by using an incantation to allow you to plant certain plants. This may seem very trivial and a waste of material, but you'll allow yourself to plant certain items that are needed for certain upgrades and certain incantations that lead to more upgrades. Plus, the only way to get specific materials that are very unique inside this game is to plant them in the crossroads area. The sooner you do this, the sooner you're going to be able to upgrade to some of the more broken incantations in the game, so it's a must-do very early on. Seeds and other material can be found by using the crescent pick, which helps you get certain metals, and the silver spade, which allows you to get certain seeds that you could plant back in your garden. Now the game doesn't really tell you where you can find certain items such as bronze, which can only be found on the surface, as well as moss can only be found on the surface. So it's a later game thing for certain upgrades, but the sooner you know where to find this stuff, the better off you're going to be. And as I've been talking through this on the screen, I'm going to have a list of things I wish I knew were sooner, so I could have gotten those upgrades that were really strong in helping me make sure I could take down Chronos multiple times at this point in my runs. If I'm missing an item that you're curious about, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. But as you're going through all this, you're going to want to upgrade a bunch of different Arcana cards, which is going to really help you survive a lot more inside of your runs when you upgrade them and unlock them as you go. Now you can't do this upgrade until you get a certain incantation, which just comes as you play through the game. I didn't know this was a thing that you could do until I got given the incantation by a certain someone as you play through the game. It'll be obvious when you get this incantation. Now what I also didn't know is how powerful certain cards were going to be when you upgraded them. To give you an example, the Eternity card, which gives you Death Defiance. By upgrading this very specific card, it allows you to go from 1 Death Defiance all the way up to 3, depending if you can get the right materials. The Titan card is also a fantastic one to upgrade, along with some of the 0 value cards as well, because they are also very strong cards in themselves. What you upgrade and how many times you upgrade certain cards is totally up to you, but this is something you don't want to sleep on or forget about as you progress through the game. And another thing you don't want to forget about, which I completely missed and didn't know about whatsoever, is the fact you can upgrade something called Grasp. Your Grasp allows allows you to activate a larger number of cards in your Arcana, aka making you that much more powerful every time you go out on a run. The game does not tell you about this whatsoever. There's no indicator when you are able to upgrade this, so make sure when you're in the Cards of Arcana section, you go all the way to the right to where you see Millennium and upgrade this as much as you possibly can, because it's really going to upgrade your chances to defeating tougher and tougher enemies in every section of this game. Now, upgrading your cards and upgrading your character in and of itself is always very strong, but something that Hades 1 did really well and they brought into Hades 2 was keepsakes. Keepsakes are something that you get from certain characters when you give them a gift in the game. This is nothing new or groundbreaking, but what I wish I knew was where to find the best of these keepsakes early on in the game, because you can get them pretty much right away. The best keepsakes, in my opinion, especially for early game runs, come from Odysseus, who is in the Crossroads, Skelly or Skelemius, who is in the fighting training area, Nemesis, who is also inside of the Crossroads, and Arachne, who is inside of the first area you explore when doing your normal runs in the underworld. 3 out of the 4 of these options are readily available to you anytime you start or finish a run. Save at least 4 nectar and hit all 4 of these people as soon as you possibly can. You will not regret it. Now, my final 2 points also continue back into your actual runs, and this one's going to be related to the aspects of these different weapons that you can unlock. What is not specifically said to unlock the different aspects of all these different weapons is the fact you have to unlock all the base forms of these weapons first. Once you unlock all 5 of the base levels of these weapons, you can then do a run that allows you to get an incantation from a specific person inside of your underworld run. I held off in my game getting the Argent Skull for a very long time because I didn't think I was going to like the weapon. It turns out I did. I think it's a very strong weapon. But if I knew I could unlock the upgraded versions of all the weapons if I simply crafted the skull earlier on, I would have done it immediately. So don't do what I did. Unlock all the weapons as soon as you possibly can. And the final thing I wish I knew before starting this game was how difficult each region was going to be when I first entered into it. I played Hades 1 for 100 plus hours, 90 plus runs in and out of the underworld. I thought I was going to breeze through Hades 2 no problem. I was so unprepared for the Mooring Fields, the 3rd region, and Tartarus, the 4th region, with how strong some of these enemies were when I was first starting out in this game. I should have been a little more cautious with these enemies, a little more thoughtful how I played the game, and I really wish I knew that ahead of time so I was more prepared for that mentally. I should have respected how squishy I was a lot more and how much more damage is output from these brand new enemies when I first started this game, and it's something I will not be forgetting in my future runs. Now, I hope you guys find these 10 things very helpful because it is truly stuff I wish I knew when I first started this game, and as soon as I discovered them, it made my life that much easier going through my different runs, unlocking and experiencing this game the way that the developers meant it to be experienced. Again, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. That way I know that you did find it helpful. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions around the game or where to find certain materials. Happy to help out, and I will catch you guys in the next video.